Hello everyone, I'm Judge Penny Wolfgang and welcome to The Big Picture. This weekend is significant as we remember the events of 9/11 20 years ago. The world has never been the same since. One result of the attacks was the war against terrorism, notably the conflict in Afghanistan. Just recently, President Biden pulled the U.S. out of that conflict, but not without a significant loss of life. More than 2,400 brave American servicemen and women died fighting that war. One of those killed in 2009 was 30-year-old United States Marine Gunnery Sergeant Aaron Kenefick from Williamsville. A 12-year stellar Marine, Aaron Kenefick first enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps after high school. Sharing the dream of his Marine grandfather before him, he wanted to serve our country with the highest honor and integrity. A natural-born leader, mentor, and athlete, Aaron distinguished himself by becoming a Marine's Marine and go-to guy by other military members and officers of various uniforms. His high security clearance and knowledge earned him a high-profile platform working with the elite who ran the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. In 2009, Aaron deployed to Afghanistan with his ETT-28 training team. On September 8, 2009, he was ambushed by close to 150 Taliban forces in the Kumar province. This tragedy included 2 other living Medal of Honor recipients. Recently, a Boys and Girls Club in Cheektowaga was opened and named in honor of U.S. Marine Gunnery Sergeant Aaron Kenefick. Our hometown camera was there as we caught up with officials who helped make this happen, a Marine who served with Kenefick and his mother, Susan Price. We are honored that we have an opportunity to talk to Chief Gould because we wanted to find out what your involvement was with this whole Boys and Girls Club here in Cheektowaga.
Sure. Approximately 10 years ago, while I was serving on the Board of Education with the Cheektowaga Central School District, I really got a firsthand view of just the need in our community. Times were tight on school budgets, after-school activities were being cut, and at the same time, we also had a tragic homicide in our town park here. And as a police officer who worked this community, I saw firsthand that kids really just didn't have a good place to go after school. We would get calls for kids playing football in the street, and when you speak to them, they'd say, their parents don't let them go to the park because of what happened in the park. And it just really, for me, was an eye-opener that we needed some positive activities for our young kids after school. We know that the more activities we give our kids, the more chances to socialize with kids, to have positive role models in their life, the less likelihood they are to interact with the law enforcement system in a negative way. So I was a part of the Cheektowaga Youth Foundation at the time. We're a foundation that exists to enrich the lives of the young people of Cheektowaga. And I approached them with the idea of bringing a Boys and Girls Club to the town of Cheektowaga. Many years of talking, and one of the things that I really think was a great help was we actually had a student from Hilbert College do a research project on the demographics of the town of Cheektowaga, the juvenile crime rates, the effects of how having a Boys and Girls Club positively affect the community. Such things beyond just the youth, for single parents who might want to work and can't get out of work till 4 o'clock. Maybe they can't have a job because they have to be home when the kids get home from school. Just so many benefits to a community having a Boys and Girls Club. And quite frankly, it was shocking that up until this year, a town the size of Cheektowaga didn't have a Boys and Girls Club. So through the support of many people in the community, the Cheektowaga Youth Foundation originally supporting the idea, we developed a smaller subcommittee of people who were just really committed to making this happen. We worked with the Cheektowaga Town Board to get the space in this town-owned building as an in-kind donation to the club. The club is, committed to making some improvements and to making this a home for us. through Assemblywoman Monica Wallace, who has, not only secured $100,000 of operating expenses, but also $250,000 to improve the facility here. And just on the other side of this wall, you'll see a picture of a rendering of what the front of the building will look at. To community members, business owners in town who have come together and donated the cost that it takes to operate. Our goal was to be able to secure 3 years of operating funds to open, and then our partnership with the Depew Lancaster Club. They have just been over the top, open arms, experienced people who have been doing this for a very long time, willing to let us open up as a subdivision of their chapter. And today's a very exciting day because all those moving pieces have come together, and we're also honored to have the family of a Marine who was killed in action, Aaron Kenefick here, who the club will be named in his honor.
I was just going to ask you about the association, how you came up with the idea, or who did, of naming the club after a fallen hero, a Marine such as Aaron Kenefick.
Yeah, so when we were reaching out to donors, we developed tiers of support that we were looking for, and one gentleman in particular came through as our top donor. He was very committed. His donation definitely pushed us over the top. And, similar to other clubs that are named after top donors, we went to this gentleman. His name is Mike Huntress. He's from AtQuest Development. And we said, Mike, you are our top donor. We'd be honored to name the club in your honor. And Mike's humble response was, I would much rather be named in one of my fellow soldiers who was killed in action. And Mike Huntress is the one who actually knew Aaron Kenefick and knew the family. And for us, it's an awesome story of someone who was known for really helping people, for excelling in what he did, and for making the ultimate sacrifice for our country. So we hope that the young people who are members of this club at some point in time ask, hey, why is the club named Aaron Kenefick? And the story behind it is just very humbling, and Aaron's parents will be here for the ceremony, and we're proud to give him and his family the honor that they deserve.
And as usual, we're so proud of the Western New York connection and really happy that we can honor them in this way. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely. And I thank you guys for covering the story. We are definitely, we're starting with 100 youth. That's our cap right now. But we absolutely plan to expand as we can. We know the need is there for more young people. And in order to expand, we continue to look for donors. Just as budgets and everything, public budgets get tighter, we need to reach out to some private funders. And if there's anybody who's interested in donating, urge you to look at our website is Cheektowaga BGC, like Boys and Girls Club.org. And there's information on there, and all of our contact information is on there.
Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, we are talking to the supervisor of the town of Cheektowaga, Ms. Benczkowski. And we were really anxious to know what this means to the town, having this Boys and Girls Club here now.
Oh, it is going to help our youth and our community so much to have a place to go after school until the parents get home. So for us in the town of Cheektowaga, we're just looking forward to getting this open, getting the kids into the center, and keeping them active, helping them with homework, getting them involved in sports, and just making a well-rounded child. Because you know what? Our children are our future. So I want to take care of them. So I'm just excited about this.
Could you tell us a little about your association with Kenefick, with Sergeant Kenefick?
Yes, Aaron Kenefick was my administrative chief in Combat Assault Battalion out of Okinawa, Japan. And we met in early 2008. And he was just one of those Marines that stood right out. He was a Marine's Marine. All he wanted to do was get into the fight, and that's what he was all about.
Tell us what you mean by a Marine's Marine. What are the qualities that Aaron had that you consider such an epitome of a Marine?
The spirit of corps, honor, courage, commitment. Just the motivation. I don't think I ever saw him in a bad mood. He loved every morning. He loved putting on the uniform and having that title, United States Marine, because that's something that we earn, and it's something that can't ever be taken away.
So now you're talking to us when we've left the Marines, the United States has left Afghanistan. Do you feel sacrifices were all in vain?
No, not at all. Those of us on the ground did our job admirably, and that's from, people that ranked above me, people that were below me. The men on the ground in all branches of service served admirably, and they did exactly what they needed to do on the ground. And they kept terrorism at bay within this country for 20 years. And so it was worth the effort. And that's all I can really say about it.
And talking about the Boys and Girls Club now in honor of Aaron Kenefick, how do you think he would feel? Oh,
he would be thrilled to death. As, his mother put it the best, that he would be the first one out there with the basketballs, with the soccer balls, and he would be with the kids. Aaron loved children. All he ever talked about was his nephews and nieces and just playing and hanging out with them. And I think Aaron would be the first one to be through those doors greeting the kids, no doubt.
And do you think it'll make a difference here to the young people, that they'll be inspired by learning his story and coming here?
I hope so. I really do. I hope so. I think it is an inspirational story, because it's not all about money, because some people just don't have money, but there's things that can be accomplished, and any children can accomplish anything with the right support and the supportive programs.
Thank you so much for the interview, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate it.
Susan, could you tell us, first of all, a little bit about Aaron as a person growing up and as a son?
Well, my son Aaron was always a stellar human being, a stellar son, and he couldn't do enough for other people. He was always about other people. And he was the neighborhood paper boy when he was a teenager. He looked out for the elderly at the end of the street. There's about 20 of them. And if there was a blizzard, he'd make a list of the things that they needed. He was into family and friends and mentoring. Yeah.
Did you think that he was going to be a Marine? Did he want to all his life, or how did it come about?
Well, my father was a Marine, and he would listen to my father's stories. And, my son was athletic, and he could have gone to college on a scholarship, but he wanted to be a Marine. And he told me that at the end of 10th grade and enlisted in the delayed entry program. And that's all he wanted to do. And then he became Marine of the Year twice in his 12-year career. Yes, I'm a nationally known Gold Star mother. This is a club you don't go looking to join. Fate and destiny chooses us, and many are not strong enough to fight. So I'm an advocate for justice and an advocate for our military and our veterans. And I am a veteran. I'm a generational Gold Star mother. My great-grandmother lost her youngest son during World War II on Christmas Eve in the English Channel, serving in the Navy. My family has served for generations since the inception of America, and we're true patriots. But the thing is, the bad mishaps in politics has to end, and we need to hold those in power accountable for the misuse and abuse of our military. That makes up the less than 1% of those serving in uniform, so that the 99% of the American population could have their sovereign rights and freedoms.
Yes, and I just want to ask you, finally, what you think Aaron Kenefick would think about having this Boys and Girls Club named after him in Western New York?
The Western New York Boys and Girls Club of Cheektowaga is the epitome and the personification of my son, who is a sports addict and loved more than anything on this earth besides being a Marine, the mentorship of young men and women, the young minds. And he would often tell me, Mama, I know how to build up the character of young men and women without breaking them down. He is here in spirit, I assure you. This club is going to be blessed beyond measure, because everything Aaron touches turns to gold.
Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you.
On behalf of everyone at WBBZ-TV, thanks to everyone who was a part of this dedication ceremony. If you would like more information on how you can support the Boys and Girls Club of Buffalo, you can go online to bgcbuffalo.org. Thanks also to the brave men and women who serve our country and continue to fight the war against terrorism. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Big Picture. I'm Judge Penny Wolfgang. As we continue our program this Patriots' Day weekend, we welcome Donald Trzepacz Jr. He's a first responder with a long history in Western New York. Donald is a Chief Master Sergeant in the 107th Attack Wing, New York Air National Guard, and District Chief Investigator at the New York State Department of Health. Donald, welcome so much to the program. We're so we're so fortunate that you could spend time with us today, and we really appreciate it. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history in Western New York? Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, Your Honor. I was born and raised in Western New York, in a small town, Elma, in the south towns there. I come from a long family history of service, public service. My father was a long-standing fire chief, worked in law enforcement and such. Every generation of my family has served in the United States military, which I'm so honored to do. And in my spare time, I have worked as a paramedic and firefighter in the local community as well. And now I work for the New York State Department of Health.
We wanted to, of course, ask you to relive, and we're sorry we have to do this, but it's so important on this weekend, to relive where you were and what you were doing when 9/11 occurred.
Absolutely. You know, 9/11 was such a heartbreaking day. I can recall it very vividly. I think all of us can. You know, the old adage of where were you when the world stopped turning, right? And during that time period, we had just completed an overnight shift, a midnight shift on the ambulance. One of our folks that worked on our platoon, it was his last shift, and we were celebrating his departure. He was moving to Florida with his family, and it was a happy occasion. We were at a local fire hall and involved in that celebration when my regular partner's wife came down the stairs and said, "Turn the TV on. A plane just crashed into the World Trade Center." And we turned the TV on for that unfortunate live view of that second plane as it crashed into the trade centers. And as firemen and paramedics and first responders, we spent the next several minutes watching the scene evolve and saying, how is our brothers at the FDNY going to put this fire out? And then unfortunately, we watched the towers collapse. And you could hear a pin drop in a room of 30 plus people. There was not a dry eye in the room, but nobody could speak a word. Nobody knew what to say. Just a few moments later, my phone rang and I was recalled to the Air Force Base to prepare for deployment down to New York City with my unit.
And I'm assuming that this was when you finally did get there. It wasn't immediate. Were some days gone by until you got there? And tell us what it was like when you did.
Yes, ma'am. So we had gotten the phone call and we went and prepared the day of. They sent us home that night, and it was eerie because you're used to air traffic all over Western New York. The airport was silent. So when we departed our local area here, we went down to New York City, and it was my first time ever to New York City. And to see what was occurring, it was just, words are hard to describe the size of the operation that was being undertaken at that point. It was a rescue operation, and we all were desperate to find survivors. And people worked day in and day out, through the night. You never really knew if it was day or night. The site was active 24/7, and everybody had, that positive momentum of wanting to find survivors. Unfortunately, we know, the toll of that day that took nearly 3,000 of our U.S. citizens. But there were heartwarming experiences even throughout that event. While I was serving there, I would have an opportunity to pass through the multiple different checkpoints and check on our military personnel and civilian counterparts that worked side by side throughout that event. And during one of them, I received a letter from a young school kid, and they had passed out letters with the breakfast sandwiches that morning. And each breakfast sandwich had a letter from a school child. And it just reminded us of why we were there. And they simply said, thank you. Thank you for supporting and defending the United States. And I mean, it's just a heartwarming experience.
Obviously, it's something you'll never forget, but I want to ask you, do you think you think there's a way for people in our country not to forget, and young people and, you know, who weren't even alive during this time, and yet it seems like they might be forgetting it or not realizing the import of it?
You know, I think there are so many opportunities for us as citizens in the greatest country in the world to pass on, you know, all the beliefs and the meaning of what it is to be a patriot. You know, we call the day is earmarked as a federal holiday as Patriots Day because, again, nearly 3,000 patriots, and we continue to lose them every day to World Trade Center illness and other, you know, injuries and illnesses associated with that particular day. And as we go about our lives, we have a responsibility as U.S. citizens to, you know, remind everyone about what this great country is all about. You know, there's often a saying of, I remember what it was to be September 12th, where everywhere you looked, there was an American flag. Every store was sold out of flags. Why? Because that was truly the time when everybody remembered how much we really love this country. And so we definitely have a responsibility to, you know, teach our youth and remind them regularly that, you know, we are a free country, and we're a free country because of the sacrifices of, you know, our service members, our public servants, and other citizens, especially on that particular day.
And it shouldn't take something like 9/11 to bring us together, like you said, you know, when everyone had flags, and not just that weekend, but for quite a while after that too. I know you're involved with scouting. Do you work with the young people trying to help them to know the meaning of 9/11?
Absolutely. You know, there are so many great organizations that are out there that allow us the opportunity, you know, to do the simple things, okay? You know, the Pledge to Allegiance, and understand the flag, understand the United States flag code, the United States Constitution, and again, the sacrifices and service of our service members, public servants, and many others throughout our country. And those are opportunities to teach our youth at a very young age so that they can continue the great heritage of being the greatest free country in the world.
Well, they say we'll never forget, or let's never forget, but older people like us, me, not you, worry that they will forget. So it's important that schools and scouting, and whenever people have any influence on young people like you do, that they try to tell them the significance of it.
100%. You know, just today, ironically, I received a letter at my desk at the Air Force Base with 6 letters in it from middle school students thanking myself and my team, you know, who's currently activated in support of the COVID mission. And, you know, that was just a heartwarming experience to be able to open that up and hang those up and share those with our team. You know, and that really keeps us warm and understanding that our youth do get it. They see our actions and they see what we do, and we are so proud to serve to provide those opportunities.
Well, when we have role models such as you around and working with young people and being willing to share your stories with all of us here, it makes a big difference. It really does. So thank you. Thank you so much, Donald Trzepacz Jr., for your service and for your insight this Patriots Day weekend. I'm Judge Penny Wolfgang. Thanks for watching The Big Picture, West New York's only topical television talk show. Remember to join the conversation on Facebook and our WBBZ Twitter page. And thanks to all the brave first responders and servicemen and women who serve our country.